Okay. All righty. Hello, everyone. I am Stacey Dunn-Emke with NutritionJobs, and I am delighted that we are here together with one of my very favorite dietitians. We're going to talk about intentional marketing and content as a dietitian, working for yourself, working for others, whether you are in business for yourself as a full-time business or a part-time business, or working for somebody else. I think intentional marketing is so, so important. And I am delighted to be able to welcome in our conversation today one of my favorite dietitians, Orly Wachter. Orly, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to dive in and talk about this with you.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't know this, but I have been a fan of yours for years. I found you on social media, and your content has always been super impactful, exactly what I needed, and worded in a way that I could understand and could apply right away. Your podcast, Health Pro to CEO, is fantastic. I highly recommend that old episodes as well as new ones. She has you have a really great way of speaking to your audience and being able to share really, really valuable business insights. And so I thank you for that over the years. So tell us a little bit about your background as a dietitian. You're doing something sort of unusual, and that is you're helping dietitians with their business. So can you tell us a little bit about your background as a dietitian and how'd you get to where you're at now?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to share. And also, I want to say how much I appreciate those kind words. And I think it's helpful for anybody listening to see that, like, sometimes there might be people in your audience who are consuming your stuff and being impacted by it. And, Stacey and I didn't actually connect. We connected online, but we didn't actually have a conversation until recently. And, I had no idea how much you loved my podcast. So I think it's just nice to remember there's lurkers in our audience, and we don't know. So you got to keep putting stuff out there and trust that the right people are seeing it. Um, yeah. So, but in terms of my path, it's been a long one. I graduated from Boston University in 2007, so quite a while ago. And my first job was as a resource dietitian for Sodexo, which was kind of a cool opportunity because I got to do short-term placements at a variety of different hospitals. I did 3 different hospitals in my time with Sodexo before moving back to Toronto, which is where I'm originally from, where my family is. But yeah, so all in my internship, my favorite rotation was oncology, and all 3 of my placements with Sodexo had some element of oncology. And so I just realized that was the area that I loved. And I happened to get an amazing job back in Toronto, which is why I moved as a full-time outpatient oncology dietitian. And at the time, I thought that was my dream job. Things changed, but that's I worked in that job for 8 years before moving into the online business world.
Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now for dietitians and health professionals.
Yes. So I had a different business, an online business called the Skincare Dietitian.
I think
And
that's what I think when we originally connected, I said to you, "Oh, I love that you have that business or that you had that business." Like I love that. If I were to go into private practice, I think that's what I would go into.
yeah, it was a great niche, but at the time it was kind of an unconventional one. I see a lot of people doing that now, but at the time I did get quite a bit of pushback. A lot of other health professionals were kind of saying, oh, there's no evidence for that. But I stuck with it. And through the process of building that business, I realized how much I just love all things business, marketing, writing, coaching. And I decided to pivot in 2018, but it wasn't an immediate stop that, start the new thing. I had a gradual transition where first I took on a handful of dietitians. I think there were 3 dietitians that I took on for free. just to see if I really enjoyed helping dietitians grow their business, to test it out. So I'm a big fan of, especially if you're starting out, if you don't have any experience in your niche, doing some free work is always such a valuable exercise, because it not only it helps you understand or realize if you enjoy doing it, but you get feedback, you can get valuable testimonials. It's just really, I think, one of the best things you can do when you're starting out.
I love that. I'm always curious about how dietitians go into different areas of practice, how they are going to use their degree, their education, their lived experience. What skills do you think that you were born with that have made you successful as a health coach, and or business coach? And what skills did you develop or work on over time to become better at what you are doing?
I love this question. I think it's such an important one, because what I see a lot of health professionals do is they focus so heavily on the areas where they're not strong, and they try to improve those areas. But what I like to work on instead with my clients is really identifying and clarifying your strengths so that you can build on those. And that's how the path, entrepreneurship becomes a lot easier when you're playing to your unique strengths. So for me, it's writing. It always has been. An innate gift. And I used to write short creative stories as a child. And my mom always said, you're going to be an author one day. So maybe I will. Haven't done it yet. But yeah, it could be part of my journey at some point. So I've always loved writing. But what I realized when I started the online business is that the way we're taught to write in school, the academic style of writing, is very different from how you need to communicate and market your business. So I took a certification in copywriting. I'm certified as a direct response copywriting specialist. And so for those of you listening who may not be familiar, it's not copywriting in the legal sense, but copywriting is just a specific style of writing that helps you communicate in a more persuasive way and really inspires people to take action from your words. So this is the type of writing that works well when you're marketing your business. And so I did get that additional certification, which has helped me, but also is so valuable for me to be able to help my clients with as well, to improve their writing, improve their content marketing through that skill. The other thing I wanted to mention, which I think is important, is I've always had a love for psychology and just understanding human behaviors and what drives human behavior. And so my undergraduate degree was a double major in psychology and physiology. But beyond that, I'm just an empath. I just feel like I really understand people on a deep level. And that, combined with the writing, has helped me immensely, because business, it's not just about tactics and strategies. It's about understanding humans. And the more you can understand the people that you're trying to help, the better you'll be able to do that and communicate that to them.
I think that's what your superpower, your special sauce, your secret sauce. I think that is the sort of the beauty of the work that you do. And I think that's what how I became magnetized to the work that you're doing, is that you really are a unique copywriter. You have this very well, I see you doing two different things. You're certainly a cheerleader for health professionals and dietitians in getting people out there to connect with their audience and to connect with their clients and what their client needs are, and just do it. Obviously, not spend a lot of time perfecting, but getting out there and doing it. So you have that, but also in actually creating that content. I know that that's part of what your business is, but I think you're really, really adept at doing that. And now I think I understand why. Obviously, you're a good writer, but it's because you have that ability to sort of flip around and think of who is receiving this information and how can we meet their needs by receiving this information. So I think that is sort of your gold. And now I understand where it all comes from. So as business owners, as entrepreneurs, how maybe you can start now by giving us a few tips on how we can better understand what our clients' needs are and be able to write to that or be able to speak to that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And thank you for that reflection. It's so nice to hear that. And really, the way that you understand your audience is by speaking with them and having conversations with them. And it's the thing that I see people resist so much. It's really interesting, right? People enter the online business world or just even business in general, and they want to dive into the flashy stuff, right? Like the logos and the colors and the brand shoots and social media. But the most important thing you should do to build a solid foundation for your business is to first understand who are you trying to help, what do they need, what are they struggling with, what's keeping them up at night, right? And the way that you get that information, there's a number of different ways you can do market research, you can do surveys, you can go into Facebook communities that are relevant and ask questions, have conversations. You can even, one way that I like to do market research is to go on Amazon and find relevant books within my niche. So if you're like, say you're a dietitian who helps people with their skin, okay, what else has been written or created? And then by looking at the reviews, you can really get a sense of what that person, why did they buy the book in the first place? What were they struggling with? And what was the outcome of that? What did they like about the book? Or maybe what didn't they like about the book, right? But like knowing that information helps you get a sense a bit of like the transformation they're looking for, where they're at, where they want to be. So that's one like kind of easy way to do it. But the best way is to get on the phone with people, to actually have real conversations with people, because that allows you to probe deeper, right? To ask follow-up questions. Tell me more about that. How is that impacting your relationships? Dive really deep, because these are the things that you want to understand. You need to have a really solid understanding of how the problem is presenting in people's lives. So the big mistake I see a lot of health professionals make with their content is they're sort of speaking to the problem as they see it, as a health professional. You're speaking to the diagnosis, but when somebody, like say somebody went to a doctor and they were struggling with digestive issues, they're not showing up saying, I have IBS, right? They're showing up saying, my stomach hurts all the time. I feel like I have to go to the bathroom right after I eat. By the end of the day, I'm bloated. I look pregnant. So we need to speak to the symptoms or the problems as they're seeing it in their life, versus speaking to the actual like diagnosis that or the problem they have.
So understanding their pains, understanding what it is that they are struggling with. I love that. There's some great tips in there. I know for myself, running NutritionJobs, I like to go to the annual conferences or any conference really and just chat with people and understand what are dietitians looking for. So it's the same idea, right? Like it's just being able to reach out to your audience and hear from them. I think for years I used to run my business like way back when I originally did it, before there was a lot of social media where I can get some more input. I would just sort of guess. I would guess at what they wanted. And then I always wondered, like, why is this particular article getting so much volume when I think it's like the most uninteresting topic? But so I can't always guess. I can't, as a business owner, be able to serve my client, be able to serve my population, my people, if I don't know what it is that they want, if I'm guessing for them. So I love that you can just find different ways to connect with them and meet their needs. And I think that's what's going to make you successful. And that can actually help inform what it is that you're going to write about as well. Like you hear their actual words, like I feel bloated by the end of the day, or whatever the pain is. So I think that's really helpful. I think as business owners, the marketing part I'll speak for myself. I could spend all day just looking at learning about trying to implement some sort of marketing stuff, whether it's emails or content or whatever, instead of actually helping my client actually getting in there and doing the work. So can you give us some ideas about like how we can reduce our resistance to marketing and make it sort of more of a natural part of what we're doing, because we're not all natural marketers. That's not the degree that the majority of us have come out of school with as health professionals or as dietitians. Can you give us some help there?
Yes, exactly. You're so right. This is something we do not learn in school. And the unfortunate thing is that there is so much misinformation online about what needs to happen in order to market your business effectively. So the first thing that I want to share is just that there is no one right way to do it. I think sometimes we can get stuck looking for that perfect strategy, especially, you know, a lot of dietitians tend to be perfectionists and we just want to have that perfect plan. And there's a lot of cookie cutter formulas out there, but there's so many different ways to market your business. And ultimately, it's about finding the one that suits you best, that plays to your strengths, right? I have some clients who really love speaking and they communicate best in that way. And so doing video content, being a guest on podcasts, maybe doing workshops in their community, that works really well for them because they enjoy it and they're good at it. For other people who maybe communicate better in written form or are like more introverted like I am, we really like to write and share content in that way. So there's a lot, I mean, and there's also ways to market that don't even require social media at all. So the first thing is just know that there isn't one right way. And I'd suggest in the beginning to dabble, right? Like try, experiment, approach it like a scientist and try different approaches. And through doing that, through taking that action, you're going to realize which ones feel best to you, which ones seem to get the best response. And from there, you can really hone in and like double down on what's working for you. So that's number one. But another thing that I see really getting in people's way is that they tend to they just think like marketing's this icky thing that you have to do to run a business. And you know, I hear this all the time, like, I love coaching my clients, I love working with my clients, but I don't want to market. I just wish I could hand this over to somebody else. And so I think a really helpful shift there is to view your marketing as an extension of the work that you do with your clients. Because the truth is, you know, you could have, say, 1,000 followers, more than that, even less, it doesn't matter. But the number of followers you have, it's only going to be a really small percentage of that who actually take the next step and work with you. And I'm not saying that to be discouraging. That's just like, we know there's low conversion rates, and that's okay. But just if you think about it that way, your content, your marketing has the potential to impact way more lives than just your paid services alone. And so I really like to think of it in that way, like my content, I approach it with a lot of respect and a lot of thoughtfulness, because I know there's people out there who will never work with me, but if they're getting an impact and being, you know, transformed through just my content, that gives me a lot of satisfaction, and I put a lot of, you know, thought and effort into it. So thinking of it that way, instead of just thinking of like, this is something annoying, an annoying chore I have to do, think about it as another way to help people. I know you want to make an impact. All the health professionals I work with, like, that's one of their deep core values, is you want to make an income, of course, but you also want to make an impact, and your content has huge potential to do that.
I like that. One thing that, as you were talking, that came to mind for me was the idea of email marketing and how easy actually it can be. You can really find your own voice in an email marketing campaign. And so one of the questions that came up for myself, but also from somebody in the community who replied to one of my emails in making sure and sharing this event today, was wanting to know about how to write, or asking about email sequences. Do we have to do email sequences? And you know, like, how do we write that? I always feel like I need a little bit of help with it.
Yeah.
I feel I know what my voice is and I know what my audience is, but still, like, it takes a little bit of effort. I know that you help people with that, but maybe you can just give us some insight on the idea of, do we need sequences or not, and maybe some tips.
Okay, yeah, good question. And also, you know, to anybody who is putting effort into email marketing, I want to congratulate you for doing that, because it is a really smart decision. You know, with social media, there's always the possibility that your accounts can get wiped out. I've seen it happen. And you always want to have an email list, because that you own that. That's much more of a sure thing. And we also see much higher conversion rates, higher return on investment through emails, because if you think about it, it's just so much more intimate, right? When you send somebody an email, it's in their inbox, they're taking the time. Typically typically when you're on social media, you're just scrolling and it's a bit mindless. You may like something, but not even read it. Whereas I find with me, at least with email, if it's somebody I really like to receive emails from, I'll just flag it and, go to it when I have time, sit down with my cup of tea and really give it the attention that it deserves, because it just feels like a more intimate form of communication. So I think email marketing is amazing. And yes, it's something I help people with. Now, in terms of sequences, that can get really complicated. I will say that it is helpful to have at least a welcome sequence. And that is when somebody first gets on your email list. We can talk about lead magnets because that's kind of part of the process, but having something enticing, a freebie, some sort of guide or video series, there's lots of different options, but having something that your people want and in exchange for their email address. And once they get on your email list, this is when they're most excited because they've just taken that step. They really want the resource that you've created. And so having a welcome sequence, it could be a series of 3 to 5 emails, even more. There's like no right way to do it, but I usually like to do at least 3 to 5 emails that follow up, and they get sent out within, the course of a week or so, because this is when you're going to be top of mind for people. And it's an opportunity because now they've decided to be on your email list, and now you have the opportunity to continue to build that trust with them, nurture that relationship. So I typically, for the first email, I like to just deliver the goods, of course, and give them kind of a sense of what to expect, right? You can say, you'll be hearing from me X times a week or X times a month. Here's the type of content I'll be sharing. You could ask them to just flag your email so it doesn't end up in spam. There's different things you can do. That's the first email. It's really simple. The second one is where you want to give people a bit more information on like what led you to create this business in the first place. So it's like building any relationship, who are you? Why should I listen to you? Give some backstory on that. And then you can go on to share other valuable resources you've created. You can have an email that's more of a case study or a client testimonial that you're sharing. And you really want to know where you're leading people. But so it's kind of like a long-winded answer. I do think having a welcome sequence is really valuable. But when you say sequences, I guess, is that what you were referring to? A welcome sequence?
That was perfect. That was that. And as you were talking, I was getting all these great ideas for my own business. But one of the things you said was, and I have another sort of follow-up question on that, but one thing you mentioned was a video. And I always think of when we're email marketing, we're committed to writing, right? But now you're like this great idea of maybe you can insert a little video in there, or a link to a video in a couple sequences. And if you're working with clients, it could be how to create snacks for toddlers, or it could be like ways to increase your lactation ease if you're a lactation consultant, or recipe development, whatever it might be. You could, get in there and show people exactly what it is to do. So I love that idea. That this is always like what you do, Orly, is you're just really great at meeting us where we're at and giving us some really great ideas and very inspiring. And so you mentioned the lead magnets as well. Can you tell us a little bit more? Well, I guess, so having, getting people on our email list is something that everyone's always very much interested in. Can you share all different ways, or not all of them, but as many ways that you think that would be helpful for us in business, whether it's private practice or working with other dietitians, some ways of getting people into our community, getting their email address?
Yes, yeah, definitely. And just, kind of going back to your point about the videos, I think like always just being in tune. And this is why market research is so helpful, not just when you're starting out, but like at all phases of your business. The more you can kind of tune into what are your audience's questions, what are they frequently asking, and creating short videos or resources to answer that, because then you have somewhere to direct people to, and you can include that in your sequence. But in terms of getting people on your email list, again, there's like so many opportunities, so many possibilities, but the two that I would suggest really focusing on are, number one, like having that lead magnet or freebie, because most people aren't signing up to just be on a newsletter. Sometimes I see people like, get on my newsletter, and that sounds like it doesn't sound that enticing. We're all on a lot of email lists already, so we need a good reason to sign up. So having that lead magnet, and like lead magnets have really transformed over the years, because I've been doing this for a long time now, and it used to be just like a simple checklist, and now people are giving away whole courses. So even though it's free, this is a taste, like it's an intro to what you can offer. And if people get so much value from your free stuff, they're only going to want to work with you even more, because they realize, wow, she's not holding back. She's got even more she can offer. So don't skimp out, give away your best stuff. Because what people are coming to you for is not just information, right? It's the implementation and individualization, support, accountability. So your free content's never going to replace that. But so having a lead magnet's one really great way, and then sharing it everywhere you can. But the other way is just to leverage other people's audiences, because like I see a lot of people focusing on things like, hoping they'll go viral and get a huge influx of new people, but that's not really something you can control. Of course, you can like have good hooks and have trending audio or whatever you think you need to do, but ultimately it's somewhat out of our control. So instead of trying to hope to go viral, what I suggest instead is building relationships. Relationships are the foundation of any successful business. And so identifying people who are complementary to what you do. So like, for example, if you're a dietitian who helps moms of picky eaters, okay, who else helps young children? Maybe a sleep consultant, maybe somebody, who does like just positive parenting in general, not related to food. Like there's so many people who do adjacent things. And then offering some sort of collaboration, like first build a relationship. Don't just like approach them asking for something, but reach out, see if you have a connection, compliment their work if you love their work, and then see in the future if there's an opportunity to collaborate. Maybe you do a giveaway together, maybe you are a guest on their podcast, but like that way you're exposed to new audiences. Just even kind of like how I'm doing this interview with you, Stacey, right? It's a collaboration opportunity. So I love doing these kinds of things, and they can be really impactful.
I like the idea that you just said of collaborating with somebody outside of dietitians, outside of health professionals, going into another sector to expose what our business and services can provide for their audience, and vice versa. I love that idea. So think this has just been fantastic. I am like swirling. I hope everybody else is too, with ideas, and I know that people can work with you. So Orly, can you tell us a little bit like how people can find you and connect with you?
Yes, thank you. So I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Health Pro to CEO Community, and I share a lot of great content in there. There's almost, I think, 900 people in that group. So it's a really welcoming community, and I'd love to have you join us there. Also, if you can listen to my podcast, as Stacey mentioned, it's been on a bit of a break, but thinking of revamping it. And there's over 200 episodes there that are really going to help you jumpstart your business. And in terms of how I work with clients, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, but I also have a group program that is focused on email marketing. It's called Email RX, and it's a 7-week program to help you get that freebie set up, get your email sequence set up, and learn how to market it and grow your email list. So I'm not running that again probably until the new year, but if it's something you're interested in, you can always reach out, and I'll put you on the wait list for that.
That's awesome.